Hello everyone, welcome to Amigos IAS. I am Adnan. In today's segment, we'll be discussing India's ethanol blended petrol program. This is in news because the Ministry of Consumer Affairs has directed all sugar mills and distilleries not to use the sugarcane juice or the syrup for production of ethanol. Now, this topic will be covered in GS3 in the UPSC. I have already made an entire video on India's biofuel policy and recently when India as a part of its G20 presidency has announced Global Biofuels Alliance. So at that time some initiatives were taken. So I have done a detailed video on what are biofuels, India's biofuel policy of 2018 and Global Biofuels Alliance. I will post the link of that particular video in the description. So please do watch that video as well along with this, because in today's segment I'll be discussing only why it is in news and some basic aspects about this ethanol blended petrol program. So please do watch that video. If you have any questions, you can please feel free to ask in the comments. Now the important news here is last week the Ministry of Consumer Affairs, Food and Public Distribution has directed all the mills and distilleries not to use sugarcane juice or syrup for making any ethanol with immediate effect. This is an important news. Already Government of India last year has banned sugar exports, and initially the date was October 31st, but later government has passed a directive by saying that even after this date the ban will be existing on the sugar exports, and we want to increase the domestic availability of sugar for the Indians and restricting diversion of the sweetener for ethanol production. So here the main component is ethanol is a biofuel, which is ethyl alcohol. So ethanol is a cleaner fuel. Now what we are doing is this ethanol we are blending with the petrol. Why? Because ethanol has several uses. Ethanol is made because of fermentation of sugars, and ethanol is having high quantity of oxygen which will help in proper clean combustion, and it is a renewable fuel because it is coming mainly from the agricultural crops. Now because of the intention of reducing emissions and having proper combustion and to increase the incomes of our farmers, because they are going to provide the feedstocks, the raw materials for the production of ethanol. So we are using this ethanol, and also because India imports almost more than 80% or 80 to 83% of its crude oil from the other countries. And if you replace the fuel with ethanol, we are blending the ethanol with the petrol. That means the amount of or the imports of the fuel what we are doing, that can reduce. In simple terms, we are actually replacing the petrol with ethanol. So already India has achieved the target of 10% of blending, and we have given ambitious target of 20% of blending by 2025-26. So we'll discuss all these aspects eventually. This measure is because India is anticipating less sugar production because of weak monsoon, especially in the states like Maharashtra and Karnataka, where the majority of production comes. Anticipating that the availability of sugar for the domestic population is going to be less, the government has announced these restrictions. First, with respect to banning of the exports, and second is that the sugar mills cannot use the sugar syrup or the sugar juice to make ethanol. That means now the existing sugar juice whatever is there should be used further to make sugar. That is the meaning here. So that is one aspect here. And next one, as you can see here, ethanol is produced from multiple sources. It's a first generation, and as of now, as per the new policy, we are talking also about 2G ethanol as well, second generation as well. What are the generations of biofuels? Please do watch the video I am posting in the description. Fine. So it is largely through sugarcane based molasses and grain based sources, okay, as feedstock, means raw materials. What are the things? Grain based like maize, broken rice can be used, as well as sugarcane based molasses like B molasses and C molasses. Sugarcane juice also is there, primary sources to make the ethanol in India. Fine. According to, in sugarcane it is what? Either through juice or syrup, or B heavy second grade molasses, or the end product C heavy molasses. So we will learn about what are these different types. According to industry players, when ethanol is produced from sugarcane juice or syrup directly, the maximum amount of actual sugar is diverted for making ethanol. That means maximum amount of sugar, ethanol what we are going to make is coming from the sugarcane juice or syrup. So don't forget first, second and third here. Fine. The percentage of sugar production diverted is less when ethanol is coming from B heavy molasses. That means less amount of sugar is diverted when it comes to the intermediate product called as B heavy molasses. Now last one is what? The C heavy molasses, where the sucrose content is almost not there. That means when the sugar is being produced, sugarcane juice is there to produce sugar. B heavy molasses also are there from which sugar can be made somewhat. But in C heavy molasses, sugar content, sucrose content is not there, so not so helpful to make the sugar. What the government is doing, because maximum amount of sugar which is produced is of course from the sugarcane juice. So if government stops the companies, the distilleries from making this or using this juice to use for production of ethanol, what is happening now? Now they may produce more sugar. So increasing availability of sugar will be there, because that juice is made to use sugar but not diverted for the ethanol production. I hope this clarity you have understood. Okay, fine. And now, therefore, when actual sugar production is going to be very just marginally more than the consumption. That means what? The production of sugar is somewhat more than the consumption. So it is not enough, because sometimes there could be some problems in supply chains also, and sometimes we don't know. Of course, sugar production or sugar consumption is inelastic, but still consumption by domestic people is more important, especially elections are going to come. So government cannot have this reduction of sugar in the domestic situation. So what happens now? So to make the sugar production supply more in India for the domestic audience, what we are going to do? We are going to ban this kind of diversion of sugar juice to make the ethanol. That is one important point here. Fine. The government, according to industry player judgment, has decided that any further diversion of actual sugar for making ethanol could complicate the availability. That is why the government has brought this ban. Fine. So as you can see, this is from the National Biofuels Policy. The raw materials which are used to make ethanol here, intermediate B molasses is there, and sugarcane juice, as we have just learnt, and sugar materials like sugar beet also is a crop from which sugar can be made. Okay, ethanol can be made, and food grains in surplus phases. Even food grains also can be used to make the ethanol. Okay, that is when you have excess of supply. Then you have damaged food grains like wheat, broken rice, cassava, rotten potatoes, corn or maize. These all can be used to make first generation ethanol as per the India's National Biofuels Policy. This was already asked in the exam. So you can find the question on this in the video which I am enclosing in the description. So please do try to solve that question. You have to understand what are the raw materials required to make the ethanol. Very important point, already asked in prelims exam. And second one, now this thing has been, of course, government has started this ethanol blending program in 2003 itself. Objectives is what? To reduce India's import bills. If you use more ethanol in our petrol, that means you have to import less fuel from the other countries. So our import dependence is going to be reduced. Savings in foreign exchange, money will be saved because we will import less, and providing boost to domestic agriculture sector, because they provide the raw materials to make the ethanol, providing income. That means government of India wants to increase the income of the farmers. That is one good aspect here. And for associated environmental benefits, because less emissions also come. Less carbon monoxide, less oxides of sulfur and nitrogen come because of burning of ethanol. Fine. And it burns very cleanly also. Under this program, what happens here? Public sector OMCs, means was oil marketing companies. They have saved approximately 509 crore liters of petrol which they used to import. Now in place of this, we are using ethanol. That is what is the importance here. And how much money has been saved? You can see here, more than 24,000 crore of foreign exchange. Okay, and we were able to give that much amount of money. 19,300 crores of money has been given to the farmers for supplying this feedstocks for the production of ethanol. And government also has improved the assistance to total of 1212 projects, including 590 molasses based, 474 grain based, 148 dual feed, both grain and molasses based projects under interest subvention scheme to enhance ethanol production. This particular slide I have taken from just last week's session in the parliament, where a question was asked regarding this program to the concerned minister, and the written question was there, unstarred question was there. From that I have taken from PIB. So please do note about these points. What is this? Government is providing assistance to a total of these many projects where molasses based production is happening for ethanol, as well as grain based, as well as dual feedstock also is there. For these kind of projects or distilleries or mills, government is providing under interest subvention scheme. What is this? Short term credit at less subsidized interest rates. That is called as interest subvention scheme. That means government is trying to fund those distilleries or the mills which are able to produce more ethanol here. That means you can see the maximum push of the government is there here to increase the ethanol production in India. But this news came as a surprise, because when you want to make so much ethanol, suddenly asking that the sugarcane juice should not be used to divert to make ethanol comes as a very different news here suddenly. So government actual target, what is that? Just now I told you 10% of target of the blending. That means what? 90 petrol, 10 is the ethanol here. That much blending has been done. 5 months ahead of the target. That means in June, this was the date on which we had to achieve this target, but already we achieved by June 2022. The government has set target of 20% of blending of ethanol by the year 25-26. This target actually was 2030, but now we have advanced it. We have advanced it to 2025 and 26. We are going to achieve the target. As of now, it is roughly around 12% it is there. So we are going to slowly reach 20% target by this. As for the roadmap for ethanol blending in India, the requirement for 20% ethanol means how much ethanol we require in quantity to replace the petrol by 20%. What is that? 1016 crore liters of ethanol is required for us to be blended with the petrol here. That is what, and this is called as E20 program, ethanol 20% program. It can save the India from how much money is being saved with the import bill, because we import from the other countries the oil. So $4 billion per year India is going to save. Why? Because we are going to replace that amount of oil with India's domestic production of ethanol. Very interesting point. Atmanirbhar Bharat will be achieved in this case, guys. That is what is the importance aspect here. And what are the steps in production of ethanol? As you can see, sugarcane fermentation, breaking down of these complex molecules of sugar into simple molecules, and then if any impurities are there, they can be removed by purification, and after that ethanol is made from this after fermentation. And in ethanol, oil marketing companies will come, they will take this ethanol and they will blend with the petrol. And as per the biofuels policy, of course, we are going for 5% blending of biodiesel with diesel. That's a different thing. We're talking about petrol here. Fine. So blending happens here, and then the trucks will take the blending. Of course, it's E10 now. We're going to go for E20 now. So the blending will happen 20% very soon, and then the trucks will transport that particular fuel to the petrol stations. So this is the process in which the ethanol is used as a fuel in the vehicles. Fine. The last point here is way forward. There is a private industrial association called as Indian Sugar Mill Association, formed in the pre-independence era. So what they are saying, the government should order a compensatory increase in the pricing for ethanol derived from B and C heavy molasses. That means what they are saying, because production of ethanol from sugarcane is done from three sources, as we have learned: sugarcane juice, B molasses and C molasses. They are saying that please give us more amount of money for producing ethanol from B heavy molasses and C heavy molasses. That means sufficient cash flow will be there for them, and they can give the money back to the farmers because FRP is given, right? So the sugar mills have to give the money back to the farmers also, if they also get the money. Fine. To maintain continuity, what they have told, whatever the existing sugarcane juice is there, so allow us to convert that to B heavy molasses. That is the second stage. So you have put a cap on that. So please let us use that till December 10. Already the date has been crossed, guys. They have told whatever existing juice we have, the cancelled juice is there, allow us to process it further to make the B heavy molasses here. Okay, and then what they have told, with the produced ethanol to be supplied to the oil marketing companies until December 20. That means what? They want a smooth transition. Suddenly don't put a halt on our existing sugarcane juice. Allow it to be made into B heavy molasses, and whatever the ethanol has been produced so far till December 20, whatever the ethanol has been produced, let that be supplied to the oil marketing companies, and the government now have to deal with those, the sugar mills, especially this association. So government of India has to address their concerns. So as to two important things here. The first aspect is India's ethanol targets should be achieved. There should be no halt on that. Second point is, of course, the availability of sugar in India also has to be regulated, because if there is less sugar in the market, again it is going to impact the domestic consumers. So these two concerns have to be balanced by the government here, and also addressing the concerns told by the these industries as well. So apart from this, the important things which come in the exam is National Biofuels Policy, Global Biofuels Alliance, as well as G1 Yojana, okay, creating ecosystem for production of ethanol, and then you have your Gobar, okay, Gobardhan scheme, and you also have RUCO, repurposed, okay, cooking oil usage. So all these schemes are linked together, which will give us a comprehensive picture, and I have repeated many times, please do watch that video. The audio is somewhat not clear on that video. If you have still any questions, please do ask, and if you have any questions on this area also, you can ask me in the comments box. So I'll come back to you by taking another topic for some other day. So keep watching Amigos IAS. Thank you.